Hello, so I'm gonna make a video about the problem of evil, and basically, the problem of evil is, um, the idea that if God was omnibenevolent and omnipotent, then there wouldn't be evil in the world. Yet there is. That's the logical problem of evil. And, yeah, so obviously, theologians have to find philosophical ways around this problem so they can justify, um, evil coexisting with an all-loving, all-powerful God. Okay, so what I've just explained at the start is the inconsistent triad, and this is basically, so if you imagine a triangle, at the top you've got omnibenevolence, omnipotent, and evil, and all of these things are coexisting. And if God is omnibenevolent and omnipotent, then evil shouldn't exist, yet it does, so that means that there's an inconsistency in the triad. Not all three things can coexist at the same time. So logically, God shouldn't exist um, alongside evil. But people want to claim that he does. So we'll look at Augustine's theodicy first, and then we'll go into Hicks and Irenaeus's theodicy. Okay. So Augustine, he was inspired by the fall story, I'm guessing. Well, I'm not guessing. I'm pretty sure. And he took the story of the Garden of Eden, and basically said that evil was born that way because humans were disobedient. So he believed that God created the world perfectly, which was the Garden of Eden, essentially. And in the garden there was everything they could have ever needed, but God set one rule, and that was don't eat from the tree of knowledge. But there was a serpent in the garden, and the serpent beguiled Eve to eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge, which would give them the knowledge of good and evil. They would become aware that they were naked, and yeah, and God would basically curse them with original sin. And yeah, so anyway, Eve ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge, and then she got Adam to also eat the fruit. So it's like, okay, well, you can look at this from a feminist perspective and say that this is pretty patriarchal, because they're basically blaming the woman. Obviously the snake started it, but then the woman, yeah, she was probably more responsible for the fall of humanity than Adam, because she was the one who she was the first human who ate from the tree of knowledge and disobeyed God's orders. So anyway, they both eat from the tree of knowledge and become aware that they're naked, and God comes walking along and he's like, did you disobey me? And Adam blames Eve, and Eve blames the snake, and the snake just, malevolent. Being malevolent basically just doesn't pass the blame on to anyone, and then that's how the fall of humanity occurred, basically. So it's quite a pessimistic view because it suggests that humans are basically born bad, we're born cursed with original sin, and we have a weak nature and a weak will. Therefore, that's why evil happens in the world. That's why moral evil happens in the world. It's important to distinguish between moral evil and natural evil. Augustine's perspective on natural evil is a little bit more abstract, I guess. Not that wasn't abstract at all, but I think there is probably some truth to it. Metaphorical truth, I'll say. But yeah. So natural evil, Augustine believed, was caused by fallen angels. Yeah. So angels who were perhaps banished from heaven or fell, they wreak havoc on God's perfect world. But then obviously you can question, well, if God was omnipotent and omnibenevolent, why wouldn't he remove the angels, the fallen angels, from the world and stop natural evil from occurring. And it's like, that doesn't make much sense to me, because surely he can do it if he's omnipotent. It's a paradox to say that, or it's, yeah, an omnipotent being can't do something. That doesn't make any sense. It's logically fallacious. And why wouldn't an all-loving being want to remove natural disasters from the world? Because natural disasters can wreak havoc on millions of people's lives, and that's what happens, yet God refuses to intervene. Yeah. And we could say we have free will, but is that really enough? I'm probably just going to stay on the Augustinian theodicy in this video, and then I'll go on to Hicks in another video, because I don't have much recording time left. Yeah, okay, I forgot to add something about what Augustine thought evil actually was, how he defined it. He didn't necessarily think that evil was a thing in itself, so we can link this to Plato and the forms. Plato perceived that there was forms of the good, but there wasn't necessarily forms of the bad. And Augustine sort of took this perspective with evil and good. He said that evil is basically a privation of good, or a lack of good. So it's not that God created an evil world, it's God created a good world, but then when we were cursed to original sin, that good got removed almost. It's not that evil was put in its place, it was that some of that good was taken away, and that was a punishment for breaking the rules. And God being a father figure, it was fair for him to curse humanity to original sin, because sometimes you got to be cruel to be kind, and that's sort of like Augustine's line of thinking. But to me, that doesn't make much sense. Like, what they did was eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Does that deserve a lifetime of suffering for the rest of humanity? I don't know. And the reason that the rest of humanity is cursed to original sin, according to Augustine, was because we were all seminally present in the Garden of Eden, meaning we were existent in Adam's testicles. Sort of like Russian dolls or something. We were all in there. Yeah. And that's basically the key points on Augustine's theodicy. Yeah, it's gonna cut out in like 10 seconds, so if you've enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more, and yeah, thanks for watching.